Welcome to SisStar Cypher. It's Sparkle.
Oh, here we are.
Here we all are, yes. Hey, everybody.
Oh, here we are.
How's everybody feeling? Wait a second. Let me mute myself because I'm hearing some.
You got that?
Who's that behind me? Okay.
I apologize, everyone. That was a little sound check, little engineer sound check. Can everybody hear me fine?
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Welcome to SisStar Cypher. I'm just going to read an introduction. SisStar Cypher is your go-to podcast for candid conversations and empowering insights on navigating the intricate dynamics of blended families. Join us today as we delve deep into the challenges, triumphs, and everything in between, offering valuable perspectives and practical advice on fostering love, communication, and growth within blended family units. Get ready to unlock the power of SisStarhood and embark on a transformative journey of connection and understanding with the SisStar Cypher. How y'all feeling today, ladies? Welcome.
Hey.
Hi.
Y'all all look so beautiful. And I just want to point out that the hardest part is getting to a place. So I just want to recognize you ladies and thank you for being here and getting here. Be here, start shining, but as long as we showed up. So I just wanted to have everybody take this time out to just, tell us your name. Where are you calling from? What region, or how are you feeling? If you don't want to say where you're calling from, tell us how you're feeling. And then tell us what have you been doing lately to catch your attention? What have you been reading? What have you been watching? What has your attention right now currently? You want to start us off, DK?
Hey, y'all. Hey, you guys. I'm DK, and I am from. Well, I'm not from Warner Robins. I live in Warner Robins, Georgia, but I'm originally from Trinidad. And what has my attention right now? Prior to anything that comes across being pregnant or baby showers or food or more food or anything like that. What I am dealing with is bullying. So that's something that I am currently doing something for these kids in the community because a lot of attempted suicide been going on with these children ages 10 and 11. And so my attention is focusing right now on doing a 3 weekend basketball tournament for these children. So anything that has to do with bullying, that's what's on in my notes, Google search, or anything like that right now, other than the baby.
Well, how many months are you?
Not done yet. I wish it was over with. I got about 3 more weeks left.
Oh, you almost there. That's any day now.
It's not today. It's not today.
It's just a
Yes.
TL was our doula. Look at her face.
I know I was having contraction all day yesterday.
Sister Tioka, would you greet us today?
Yes.
How are you doing?
Oh, praise be to Allah. Assalamu alaikum. My name is Sister Tioka Muhammad. Forgive my voice. Like I said, I was partying last night. We had a live band at our banquet facility. Sparkle missed it. We heard like all day. I was like, did somebody spike the punch? It was because it's a non-alcoholic place, and I'm the one that made the punch. But right now it was on Utica, New York. Right now what's on my mind is collaboration. Like working together with people is so rewarding.
Yeah.
And I just want to give a big shout out to the sisters that just show up and want to be a part of what I'm striving to do in the community. My girl sister Nakia, she hung in there, both shifts because I had two events, and I do catering and event planning and decorating stuff like that. And I had two events back to back. My girl sister Elise, she's not on social media, but I mean, just the beautiful support. Pam, two Pams. I got a sister-in-law Pam and a sister Pam. Like my sister. Just the whole collaboration, working together as a unit, really got me like, in my feelings and just appreciating people more. And I woke up this morning thinking about when I was younger. Like, I used to be like, "Oh, that's my god sister. That's my god sister. That's my god," right? Throwing that terminology around like it's like it's a fad or whatever. I've never had a god sister growing up. Like, I never had anybody was never presented to me as a god sister. I did look up what a god sister, god parent, and all that stuff. And tell, but I think I get it now. Being around these amazing women, it's like they have to be angels from God. I got to spend my id with Sister Sparkle, and we just vibe like, I don't know, like, we're just so happy to be in each other's presence. So collaboration is just sticking at it's just there. It's like working together. I keep telling my husband, like, teamwork makes the dream work. Like, this makes it so easy because everybody's working together. And nobody's in each other's way. We just working together. So that's what's on my mind.
Oh,
Thank you.
you for sharing. That was wonderful. And Goddess Masterpiece is with us, and she's watching from YouTube. She says, "Peace, SisStars, here for support."
Peace, Sister Goddess. Miss you
We
today.
miss you.
And we actually have some comments that she was so kind enough to leave us for this topic today. And Sarah, hi, Sarah. Welcome. So, Heather, we're going to talk to you next. And then, Sarah, what we're doing now is saying our names. What part of this planet are we calling from right now, or how we're feeling, and what has our attention right now? What are we reading? What are we thinking about? What are we watching on TV?
Hi, I'm Heather from Utica, New York. The one I can kind of relate right now with collaboration right now, huge. I've been diving deep into local politics, and I'm loving it. And I'm loving that I'm getting people engaged. It's been awesome. I love that people are asking me questions and we're getting people to really put the word out on what's happening on our council and stopping things from passing through without people knowing about it and really getting people involved in that. And I feel like that is like my happy spot I've reached. And I can't tell you how happy it makes me right now, because you say you find out what you want to do your whole entire life, and when it sits in front of you like that, and I'm doing what I'm doing right now, I'm happy. So that's where I'm at. I mean, there's a lot on TV I'm watching, but it's got my heart and my mind right now. It's going to those neighborhood association meetings around the city, hearing what people want, getting their voices out there, but also bringing them the knowledge to bring their voice out. So yes, that is where I'm at. I'm in my happy zone right now. So definitely.
Ooh.
Very good. And Sarah.
Hi. Okay, I'm Sarah. I live in Clinton near Utica. See, what are the questions, Sparkle?
So either how are you feeling, or what has your attention right now? Like, what have you been surfing on the web looking at? What have you been watching? If you have been watching any TV, what has your attention right now? We're going to stay away from music, because every time I go to music, I get fined that we can't even speak about the music. So unfortunately, so just what has Sarah's attention right now?
In order for me to like zone out, just like pure entertainment, I'm rewatching Bridgerton season 2 to get ready for Bridgerton season 3. I've never read the books, but it's fun to binge. What has my attention? Listening inward right now. I had just a really great conversation with myself that was very, very therapeutic yesterday with my inner child and my ego self and my higher self. I kind of sat everybody down and we had a great conversation and got a lot of stuff out of the way, got to really be in touch with my feelings in each of those areas. And because I was feeling a little chaotic still from the eclipse energy, things just kind of felt like an emotional mess. And I'm just like, this doesn't feel good. And turned to a friend to help me out. And then this idea that I had seen on Instagram of like, just kind of get all parts of yourself together, and you lead the meeting, like a board meeting. And I did that yesterday. And I used my daughter's stuffed animals to each be like a different part on my bed and like literally talked to myself, to them for an hour. And it felt so good. And I'm like, get so much more at peace and feel like I'm more on the same page with all parts of me to move forward because I have like big dreams to achieve. So that's the nerdy thing that I'm doing, Sparkle. That's got me really excited. Yeah.
Okay, I think that's pretty cool. So for me, I'm feeling everybody else's energy too. I feel like I'm just like, I don't know. But what I've been watching lately has been Inside Edition. And it has me just like questioning everybody around me. You can't trust not a soul. Everybody around you. And I need to stop, but I can't. And the suspense be killing me. That's what I've been doing for like the past 3 weeks. What I've been watching on social media is like vegan recipes and like how to do yoga, Pilates on the wall from laying down on the bed.
I want to see that.
And I've been reading the like trauma type books, like what this trauma does to the body and how to, pretty much revamp yourself and reform yourself from trauma. So that's why I really like talking about topics like today, because it kind of helps get to the root with others, hearing other people's perspective about things that I'm dealing with, things that, people that I know around me are dealing with. However, really doesn't have a public platform to speak about it. So we can talk to the masses at the same time that we talk to each other. So with that said, when I came up with this topic about, blended families. So it's also for people who are dating, after the relationship didn't work, but you have children. And that can go for either the person can be a man or the person can be a woman. It could be a grandparent or a caretaker, just someone who has children and are attempting to start relationships, whether it's romantic relationships with neighbors, friends, whoever. We want to highlight and talk about some of the good, some of the bad, some of the barriers, and then offer some solutions on how to cope if this might be so overwhelming for some of us. For me personally, my children are like a soft spot for me. If you ask anybody, you can't tell us nothing. You can't tell Sparkle nothing about her children. And I adapted that attitude possibly only because I know that this is a family that I created, based upon what I saw out in the world. So I don't feel like after all these years, going on 22 years of parenting solo, that I can't really just take anybody's criticism that serious unless they know me that well, because I did this journey for a long time. So I might be sensitive about my children. I was talking to an elder and she told me that a lot of the young girls don't listen anymore. It's hard for them to be submissive. They're trying to help the children. It's like so many things that was going on around this topic. So I just had to, get my SisStars together and let me unpack here and let's hear what we all have to say about this topic. So I do have some questions and I wanted to know, does anyone have any thoughts based upon what I just said before I start the structure of the questions?
I don't want to take up too much space, but I can speak a lot about this as a solo parent raising 2 children who are 11 and 8 and who has been in a 2-year relationship since my marriage ended and had to leave that. And there were 3 kids that he brought into the blended family, and like unstitching that blended family and having that kind of dream blended family have to retire that dream. Like I can speak to a lot of these things. So I'm just really grateful that you brought up this topic.
Me too.
And there's also a lot of dynamics here because there's people who are not in blended families who have had their family that they created with, and there's no interruptions. They're with the same person with the same children, so they don't have to necessarily go through it. But they hear from others. They hear from their friends and family members what they might be going through, hearing what they have gone through. I want to hear those stories as well, and the impact that it might have on the children. Because the parents are making these decisions, but the children might not have been prepared. So I just wanted to offer what Goddess had to say about this topic. I know she's watching. So Goddess Masterpiece says it can be difficult because if there are still lingering feelings for that person, it could be an issue. So the person that you have children with, if you're still lingering feelings, that might be an issue. And the children having to cope with being apart from their parents. Like the children may have wanted the parents to stay together, right? However, they're trying to navigate themselves in their minds, trying to figure out how to cope without their family being together under one roof. And also she offered other family members getting involved. That can be a dynamic. Like I included cousins, baby mothers from the past relationship. All of these can be, barriers or issues when trying to establish a blended family or date anybody who has children already. So I guess I'll go ahead. Does anybody have anything to say? I just want to go ahead and ask a question, I guess. First of all, I want to know, has anybody here experienced this topic firsthand? Okay. All right, very.
Okay.
That's you too,
I'm
DK?
from a blended family, but I don't.
Yeah, that's wild. Being a product of
I've lost on that.
Yeah, that counts. Because in that case, you're an adult now, but you were a child in a blended family, so you can speak from that angle. We need that input as well.
So yeah, I'm with her because I was a child within a blended family with my mother and my stepfather, and well, my son's father currently he's passed away, but my child's father now he has another son, but we really don't interact with the. That's a story for some other time. Okay, we do crazy ex baby mamas as a topic one day, but yeah, but I grew up as a blended family though, within a blended family.
Okay. So
I
I
grew
guess
up within a blended family as well. There's a couple of blends that was happening.
okay.
And I also, I mean, for the understanding, I've also have a blended family. So
So I guess I'll ask you the first question, Sister Tioka.
great.
How, how do you establish and maintain your values within your family unit? Because the word was boundaries, but you made it clear that boundaries is not your thing. So you value things. So
Standards.
yes, the standard.
All right. So, how do I maintain it within the family unit? So I can
How do
speak.
you establish
How
and
do you
maintain it?
establish it? Whew, that's a tough one. So I can deal with ideally, and then there's the ups and downs that happen because nothing is perfect. So this is trial and error. Ideally, is working together. Like actually both of you all having a common goal. It's like a business, right? Like what's the objective? The objective is to rear these children a particular way. The objective is to keep the house a particular way, and then once that's established, then the work comes in trying to maintain that, trying to balance that. So it could on paper or in theory, it looks good. You can sit down and have a conversation and be like, you know, this is what I like. This is how I want this to go. Bedtimes is at this time and dinner time, um, but the practice is where it get messy. For me personally, um, I'm married, right? So my husband came, well, first of all, we're both Muslims, right? So, that whole unevenly yoked thing kind of, it kind of becomes a issue as well. But you can still be of the same faith and not have the same standards or the same values, because then your upbringing interferes. So one the beautiful thing is that we have the standard, and the standard is God, right? We treat each other the way God would treat, right? So it's not an individual thing. It's striving to treat this person the way God would be pleased with, right? But then the other things that pop up is he was reared a certain way and I was reared a some certain way. And then if there's an age gap, there's a generational. I did things like this, and so trying to blend is not just blending the children, like you're blending these ideas in your mind that you have of expectation of the way things are supposed to go. That's work. So, and it only comes with, right, self-awareness, self-evaluation, um humbling yourself, right? I know in the beginning of just being, really honest. um I have a strong personality. I know where I get it from, but in that strong personality, just because this is who I am and how I do things, that does not mean that I'm right, right? So when you refer, like this, that story, yeah, sometimes we do things we don't even know why we do it. We say things we don't know why we say it. We act a certain way, we just like we're just like habitual, like it's habit, like we're just reacting. Um, and I always refer back to that story I talk about with the woman cooking the turkey. I don't know if you ever heard that one where she every time she cooked the turkey, she took the legs off. And I probably won't tell this story right, but I'm gonna attempt, right? And so I think one of her children was like, so why do we all right, so the grandmother took the legs off, then the mama took the legs off. And then the grandchild took the legs off, right? And then one child questions, why are we taking the legs off? And like, this is what my mama did. Right? And this was my grandmother did. And then finally, when I was able to ask the grandmother was like, oh baby, my oven was too small. The turkey couldn't fit. That's why I had to take the legs off. So I use that as an example because this is what we do, right? We go into relationships, and we have this idea of how we are, and this is what we've been doing, and this is the way we were raised, and that is correct. And it's in some cases it's not correct. We're just, what we talked about last time. It's those generational curses. Um, generational curses, yeah. And so with that being said, there is a standard, right? And we can put that into practice. But the key word is the practice, right? You gotta practice it. And in some cases, you're not that successful, right? But as long as you keep trying, right? Okay, so that's how I would answer that.
Wow. Sarah?
Can you repeat the question?
So the question is, how do you establish and maintain boundaries within your family unit?
For a blended family, you mean?
Yes.
Okay. So
Or
first, it's being
okay.
clear with yourself and with your own family. So for me, we're a little trio of three, like the Three Musketeers, me and my two kids.
Mhm.
So being really clear on what I know on my goals for raising them. So we want to be kind. We want to be, we treat humans, we're kind to humans and animals. There's a time to be silly. There's a time to, be playful. There's also a time to like get our work done type of thing. And so never wavering from how I want to raise them, because like they're my responsibility. But then it's also making sure that the person that you want to blend your family with, that you have similar outlooks on life. Because if there's just going to be too much contradiction, then it's just not going to work. So, yeah.
I guess the question I have for you too, in addition to the first one is, have you faced any specific concerns or obstacles related to co-parenting with a former partner? I mean, I know you already, talked about that a little bit, but this is more of the obstacles when trying to co-parent, if you can share that.
Yeah, so I've been out of my marriage for over 6 years, and then in that time, I had a 2-year relationship with a live-in partner, and he had 3 children over at our house at various schedules. And I ultimately spent money in order for him to get custody of his oldest. Who had been in the custody of a grandmother and stuff. So she came to live with us full time. So I had one of his children, and he was working nights. And so I was parenting. He would see her like 2 hours during the day before he'd had to go to work. She'd come home from school. He'd see her about 2 hours, and then got every other weekend pretty much with her, because then she also had to go back to her grandma every other weekend. And so I was doing a majority of the parenting, and he wasn't. And that had its dynamics, right? The other thing of just, like you create this vision when you're very excited to blend a family, you create a vision for the future, and then you get very attached to what that looks like. And then if things don't go according to that, or things are kind of like bumping heads, such as, the background of his 2 sons, like came from a different background than mine in terms of what was normal in their house that they normally live in, right? He'd only see them 2 weekends a month, essentially. And so having to accept that, but then like, that's now part of my life, or like certain behaviors, whether that would, just in theory could have been like talking back, or, using their hands if they're aggressive. Because I teach my kids, like, when we're angry, we don't use our hands. You can leave, you can go like hit a pillow or something, but like if we are mad, we do not use our hands like whatsoever. And so having lots of conversations, and also making sure that it's clear on like whose turn it is to parent which kid for what thing, right? Mm-hmm. If my kids are in a wrong, like it's on me to correct them in the way that I've communicated, in my norms of how I discipline or communicate with my children. It's very values based, for example, I've been talking like a broken record since my kids were toddlers, that they are the boss of their own body. Right. So we don't necessarily have to have rules of like, we don't hit each other, we don't spit at each other, et cetera, because our value that everything boils down to is, we don't hurt humans, and you're the boss of your own body. And so that is why this behavior is connected to this. And this is why I'm talking to you about it. So like, that's how I parent. But if a situation comes up with your partner's kids, being clear, is this something that he is going to discipline, or is that something that you need to flag for him because it's just not congruent with how you want, the household, or what your vision is, for it. So yeah, I can talk a lot about this, but I know you've got other questions.
Yes. So Heather, I want to hear from you. I want to, you said you were in a blended family, you and Tioka, so I want you to speak to this question. How about if the parents are introducing a blended family because they fell in love with someone, they want to move forward. However, the child is not that favorable of the new person, or maybe the child just doesn't want a new person. Maybe they're used to just being mommy and them, and then who's this person and where are you coming from? Can you speak a little bit from that perspective? Were you happy in your blended family? Did you wish that your step parent would disappear? Did you embrace the idea? What happened? Yeah.
I definitely think when my father, before he passed away, he had met my stepmother. I was super excited because I wanted a mom my entire childhood. So I was great with this. However, along came stepbrothers, and they were not about my father. So I think at first my dad took it personally, but then he let them know, like, I'm not trying to be your father. He created a balance and structure for them, as in like when they came to his house, our house, he would make an effort to like get to know them. We did like what was called the nurturing family program. I don't know if you guys ever remember that, but it used to be for blended families. And he got our family involved with that, with our stepbrothers. So it was kind of, I think my dad was like first just allowing them to know that, I'm not trying to be your dad. I'm not trying to replace you. And just kind of creating a sense of balance at our house, because where they came from, it was always chaotic, but it wasn't like that. There was structure. And I think that was helpful. So that's kind of like one of the things that I remember my father doing, but I embraced having a stepmom. I was down with it. So, but that was one of the things. Yeah. Well, I got right now. Sorry. I don't have a lot.
I can't hear you.
I have to unmute my mic. Okay.
Okay.
I was pretty much asking, like, how was it from the dynamic of being a child in the blended family? How did you see it? How did you handle it?
Okay.
Did you embrace it?
So you asking me? I didn't hear.
Yes, I'm asking you, Sister
Oh,
T.
okay. Okay, so let me reflect. Did I embrace it? And again, we're saying blended, meaning, just someone else introduced into the household.
Yes.
I think I was the only child for 8 years. And then, the stepdad came into the house, and he came with a host of children. And then my mother had 2 more children. It was a roller coaster, but as I was young, so it was exciting because we would take trips when we would go to like visit his family, or when they were in that dating stage, because I was the only child, I was the one that will go with. And then when the children, so it was like this part of it. It was a portion of it where it was like, yeah, we got a friend, this is fun. We're doing something different, new. Before that, my mother was married to my dad, but I don't remember much. 5 years old, they were separated. So to have that male energy, that was kind of like, we're doing something. We're going out to Coney Island and, all these different things. It was very exciting. However, as I grew, and things changed in their relationship, and that changed with me as well. As I was getting older, I became teenager and stuff like that. It wasn't really that much fun anymore. I went through my rebellious stage where, he was not going to tell me what to do. He was absolutely not my father. And he didn't, in my eyes, he didn't earn the right to be my father. And that's a whole nother topic as well. And then I remember growing up, and there was a lot of attention because we're blended family. Now we got new children coming in. So now there was a lot more attention. The children, my brothers, took the attention away from me. So I was I'm not single. I was only child for a while. And so that kind of made me to feel, a certain kind of way, Um, what I took from that, though, as an adult, is that, as I studied and learned about relationships, hence heavy on relating, is that when you're in a relationship, it really shouldn't just be about you and that person. Like, it really should be blended, right? I mean, if that's the terminology we want to use. And not just blended with the children, but blended with the family and blended with the community. Like, it should be, it's not just a relationship between you and the individual. The relationship is not just for you. It is for the forwarding of the family, And I know that I did not grow up like that. However, I tried to be a part of that rearing, where, as I wind up being a person that's like, a single parent, blending, whether dating or, married or whatever, I found it very difficult. And I must say that part of the difficulty is the ups and downs, right? It's the growing part. So obviously the stuff that I experienced as a child affected me in the way that I would blend my family, right? So So was I dealing with as a child, not understanding that there was a level of resentment there, that now that this new person is here, now all the attention is taken away from me? Okay, I remember we went to we had fun, but in reality now we got these children, and now, and then the relationship was toxic too. So now I'm scared, and in the bedroom wondering, what's going on between just the whole toxicity of what happens when you don't choose, or I can't judge, but when you're trying to relate to someone and it's not on a higher level, it's just, it's on a personal level. So I know that I took those experiences, and it became challenging for me to be able to figure out how to blend. So I had to study, I had to be around people who were doing it, and I really had to look at myself and realize that I'm reacting from something that happened to me in the past. And now I'm just over here cutting the legs off again, right? Thinking that this is the way you do it. And then, the individual who you're trying to relate with is in some cases a victim, because you have some things that you haven't, you haven't really understood what happened in your life. So I know that was a lot, but I just, figure I'll put it out there. This is an honest and frank
Yes.
conversation, right? It don't make no sense to sit around here and act like it's rainbows and butterflies. All of us got a story. Our story is, tell your story for somebody else, mistell your story. And can't nobody do anything with my information. It's my story. You can't do
That's
nothing with
right.
it.
That's right. I appreciate that information too. I'm going to reflect on that and keep on listening. I listen to this show a lot, ladies. After we do this, probably
Oh, that's
obsessively,
cool.
I just can't help it. At least 12 times.
Cool.
So, Sarah, I'm wondering, have you ever experienced dating someone that your children wasn't that fond of? And if so, how did you handle it?
I haven't. I've only dated a total of 3 people since my marriage that they actually met, and stuff. So, and I won't introduce them to somebody unless I was like really serious, and probably be like at least 9 months
Okay.
before
Okay.
I would have to do like 9 months of gradually like getting serious and more serious, before I would introduce them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, after watching Dateline, I want to introduce nobody to nothing for nobody. I'm just like, this has to end. It's enough is
Oh,
enough.
oh,
But ideally, I would wonder, anyone who's listening, please, but no matter when you are tuning into this, let us know, how did you handle, your blended family? How long did you wait to introduce people to other people?
Sparkle, if I could just say, like, I think it's also part of your intentions, right? Like, if I'm dating, it's because I'm trying to find somebody for me. I'm not looking for a dad for my kids. Like, I'm looking for somebody for me. And so I just keep a pretty close dynamic between him and I, right? Like, there's a barrier between him getting to see Mama Sarah, right? Like, he just gets to see Sarah. Like, that's what I want. Until I would get to the point feeling comfortable, and we'd had lots of conversations, and it's something that he really wanted to be a part of too, because because I can parent my kids exactly the way that I want to and influence them exactly the way I want to. I'm a solo parent. I don't have to, work with another parent. It's like I like that means a lot to me, and I'm like very, very grateful that I get that opportunity. And so, I know that I'm enough. So I'm not looking, and I don't believe like my kids absolutely have to have a dad. I know their experience will be different because they don't. But it doesn't mean that it's bad. And so when I'm dating, I'm looking for somebody for me. And so I'm not necessarily looking for, is this person going to be a great dad to my kids as like the third thought about them? You know what I mean? So just for me, do I like them? Do I want to spend time with them? How do they treat me? Because if I'm a happy mama, that makes my kids' life so much more richer.
And Sister Tioka, I guess the other side of the question would be, have you ever dealt with blended children not being that favorable of you, or maybe stepsisters or step siblings? And the second part is, what strategies have you used to help children adapt to changes in the family dynamic? You might have answered that already.
So, I do not recall growing up and it being like animosity or anything with the blended children. I don't recall that at all. So that's cool.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a blessing. Now that you make me reflect on it. What was the second part of the question?
The second part is, what strategies have you used, in order to help the children adapt to changes in the family dynamic? Like maybe before you didn't have a brother or sister, but now you have a brother or sister, or a brother or sister that's going to share this space, and we're going to all be a part of this family. As a matter of fact, now we're blended. So what are some strategies that you use to help that transition be a smooth one?
Okay, there we go. Can you hear me?
Yes.
I can't hear you.
Am I muted? Oh, okay. So maybe you could try leaving and coming back in, see if that helps. I wonder if I put this comment. Would you see it? Did
Can
you
y'all
maybe?
hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I had a call coming in, so it knocked the audio out. Let me go out and come back in.
Okay. All right. So that question is for you, Sarah.
Yeah. What I think helped us, we were trying to go from my 2 kids, because sometimes we'd have 2 kids, sometimes we'd have 3 kids, sometimes we'd have 5 kids. And so the best thing that we did that I created was just structure and predictability. Friday nights, typically we would do this. Saturday morning, they would expect, you're playing together, you're down in the kid cave, kid playroom, or outside, and then Saturday night it was dinner and then movie. You got to get in your pajamas, you got to bring a pillow and blanket, stuffed animal out to the living room. We all decided a movie, so giving them structure and predictability. So that way they know, and there wasn't some big surprises, and then talking with them quite a bit about what kind of food. One of my ex's sons was a very, very, very picky eater. And so navigating that was really hard until we found some solutions. So giving kids a heads up of here's what we're eating this weekend, that also I think gave them some grounding as well.
Very good. Welcome back, Sister Tioka.
I'm sorry about that.
I'm going to just repeat the question, or do you have the question?
No, I didn't hear anything.
Okay. So I was pretty much asking, what strategies have you used in order to help the children adapt to the change in the family dynamics? What techniques?
But inclusive. I don't believe, I'm not a believer in that this man is for me. I mean, when you're dating, right? So it's like I don't want to bring you around my children. I understand that part of it, until I know you. Like you said, you watching Dateline, so you're like, I don't know who I'm gonna bring. Right? Nowadays you don't even know. You just don't know, right? But I understand that part, and I do have experience in that part. But if I'm speaking specifically on my current blended family situation, my my story is a lot different. And one is that this individual, he was a part of the community. He's a part of the community, so he was known, right? And then we didn't date, we courted. So you date in courtship. And during that courtship process is when the children were brought in as the idea of understand. Now, matter of fact, I think it was, yeah, I can't remember. But so it wasn't like, I'm going out on this date with a stranger. And like what you saying, Sarah, 9 months, let me see, right? Let me see if you worthy to, to come and meet my children. So it was a little different. And then in the courtship process, it's exactly what it is. You're taking this person to court. So there's no real room for, this pseudo romance thing. Like woo me, romance me, and make me feel good, because anybody can do that. Like, this can happen, and then you turn around and find out that he's a serial killer. I mean, it happens, but it's the idea of getting to know the person, their family, what they stand for and represents, their, you know, their faith, their background, their standards, you know, how they want to rear children. In this situation, I had children. My husband didn't have any children, so here I'm bringing children into it. There was no, other children that I had to figure out how to relate with, but he had to figure out how to relate with my children, which meant that he had to figure out how I related with my children, because from courtship, there's engagement, and then there's marriage. So that's my current situation. In the past, however, I did have this datingness for me, right? But then what would happen is, if you don't have people that can hold it down for you, so I can go out on this date. I got somebody to watch my children, and my children are situated, and I'm going out on this trip with whatever you do. You do get to the position when it's like, okay, well, no, I can't go on a date with you. Matter of fact, our date is the park, and so I was a product of that too. And I don't know, it's something that we grew up with. It was like, this Uncle so and so, this Uncle so and so, this that messed up people's mind, right? You're like, oh, this is my uncle, right? You young, right? You young, you don't know why uncle in the bedroom with mom, like, but you don't even think like that. Like, you just like, Uncle so and so is here. You so excited because Uncle so and so bringing some candy or something,
Right.
I did not do that. I did not. In my time out, dating and trying to, I did not do the uncle thing. It was something in me, like, let's not tell these children that these people are their uncles. That's lying, for one. And then if uncle is a trusted character, right? Like, but yeah, I don't recall having the ability to shield, and say, I'm going to date this person for 9 months. My children are not going to be, it's not about my children and me and you. It's just about me and you. And I'm not saying that's the wrong way to do it. You could do it however, but in my mind, the objective is, yeah, I'm trying to relate to you, but I'm trying to relate to you to figure out how you're gonna blend in this situation, So it's not about I'm looking for a daddy for my child. I'm looking for a role model. I'm looking for somebody that is going to help me, rear this child. It's a role model. You gotta be a daddy. We can call you uncle then. No, but that's weird still. But you know what I'm saying? So in that getting to know each other thing, I mean, I need to know that you could be a role model. It can't be this, I like him, but he got some habits that, you know what I mean? Or I don't like his idea of the way that he disciplined his children, or, you know what I mean? It has to be like, well, let's talk about it, especially if the person have children, right? And you watching the way they interact with it. That is a daggone flag, because I'm telling you, if they're not interacting with their children, right, so I need to see that. I need to know that. I would, if I was in that position again, right? I don't plan on being in that position.
Yes. That's very interesting. I guess we're going to offer some resources and some tools. Are there any resources or tools that you found helpful in your journey as a blended family? Or can you share any personal experiences that illustrate the positive aspects of blended family? So what are the positives in blending the family? Feel free.
Being a child in it, I guess for a long time, I didn't have any kind of structured family. So, near the end of my dad's life, when we did have a family, it was the most exciting thing for me to have brothers, they're stepbrothers, and attempting to go like once a year to like water safari and things like that. I felt like those were just the things that like I loved about during that time. I guess that would be one of the best things that came for me out of a blended family was this temporarily the idea of what it would be like to have a family. I know it sounds so kind of sad, but it was like that. I mean, when I can tell you, when you guys were talking before about what you would do, like to have your children meet people, my father was like this lovesick guy. Like he fell in love quickly. So I always met his girlfriends. And so, you know what I mean? My dad did everything you're not supposed to do. Great guy, young, but that's how it was for me. So, you know, like he's like, this is Heather. And he's like in love with every person. Like this was going to be I can tell you everything not a man like my father would do that was wrong and I would never do. But once he did find my stepmother, that was a small moment in time that we had of what it felt like to have a family. And it did make me feel like there was this could be for me and I could have a family. It was after all that negative, there was this short term of like a few years of family. So yeah, that's what I got out of that. But yeah, if you ever want to know what not to do, I can tell you stories about my dad all day long.
What not to do.
What not to do.
All right.
What was the question? One more time.
So I was just pretty much looking for the positives of a blended family. Like, what's the beauty that comes out of it? Like, but can you share any positive? What did I ask specifically? I said, can you share any personal experiences that illustrate the positive aspects of blended families?
Yes. So, my husband brought a family value that was kind of missing. He comes from a two parent household. His mother was very much in the idea of balance in the community and family, and the stories I would hear, it was just like, wow, right? Like it was inspiring. It makes you want. It really just make you want to like aspire to be like someone like that. An example. So he brought that, that the whole, when I get upset, it's like, it's that old school stuff, because I'm younger than my husband. So it's these values that I just didn't get a chance to get because I, the way I grew up at and just the cards that I was dealt. Very prideful, but not the negative, like proud, proud to be a part of the legacy that his mother and his father have left, right? It made me want to know more about like my family because, you blended, obviously if you blended, some parts are not together, there's some separation that took place. So like my father's family, at certain parts I had access to, but then I lost connection. So one of the positive things, for myself was that, one, my husband bridged the gap between my father's family. Like he actually, I think it's our second year of marriage. My wedding anniversary, he took me to find my father's family. I had not seen them in years. I mean, decades. And the crazy thing, his true story is that my siblings on my father's side thought that I was dead. That when by the end of the night, like we drove out to New Jersey, and by the end of the night, we found all the family. But I remember calling my brother, who his name is Kayama. He's younger than me, and we were close, before the separation or whatever, or before I lost contact with them. I had him on the phone, and he was like, "You're telling me that you're my sister, but I could have sworn my sister was killed in a drive-by in front of the project." And that was like, what? Who told you that? I don't blame anybody, but I only, I put it in my mind, like I assume like as children, as we grow up, it's like, well, what happens to my sister? What happens to my sister? What happens to my sister? Can we see our sister? Right? And then maybe at some point somebody is like, you know what? I heard. It's like, so that was like, it was so touching, but also with that, it's like the whole confident level of anybody that you would need to add. They need to add. And it can't no negative, can't be taken away, right? You need to add and multiply. And I really feel that the positive things of rearing my children that are not his biologically. I don't think that I will be as successful, even though I'm still working on it. I mean, so for the grown ones, I don't think I would have been as successful, honestly. I know in some cases, you kind of want to take I'm the mama's, my genes, blah, 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 right? And, genes do have a lot to do with it, but environment is so key. And so, to have my son, who's a doctor at the Win, to be, first of all, to be able to homeschool all my children, I couldn't do that without the support. I mean, there's single moms that homeschool, and I'm an advocate for that because before we got married, I did start homeschooling my son, and then I put him back, and then once we got married. But just the confidence and the support to be able to homeschool my child and go to him for anything. Um, and just be constantly reminded that you can do it, that we can do it. And so one of the major successes for me, and I hate to keep bringing it up, is that my son, we got him to Cuba to study medicine for 7 years, and he was done with his high school at 15 years old and was in college. I mean, that it's such a blessing, right? To have
That's
a
major.
partner, right? A blending together that y'all can work together to get that done. And so that was one of many. I look at like yesterday, working together. We was working yesterday. Lord have mercy. But we were working and it was just like all, I said rainbows and butterflies, but it was just all like peace. It was really peace. Working together is harmony. Like if you're looking for peace, like whatever you looking for as far as in the mate, you gotta figure out how to find some harmony. Friction is good, not all the time. Friction is good on some things because it helps to sharpen, right? Still sharpen still. So, when you go through stuff and there is this disagreement, the disagreements, is there, look at what the disagreements are for, is to make you all closer or better, or somebody needs to learn something about themselves or about the other individual. So yeah, that's the one I want to settle on. Besides the fact, I do have 3 other children, but that was like in the beginning of our relationship, and that was big. That was big. I mean, we traveled down to Cuba. He made sure I got down there to tour because I was like, yeah, I'm gonna send him. I need to see it. Because what they tell us about Cuba, they say it's a third world nation. These people are poor, blah blah blah, and so all that, we had to blend to do that, and so yeah, it's definitely much appreciation.
Wow, that's incredible. That's major. Thanks for sharing.
Yes, ma'am.
And then we got a thumbs up from Fatu. Fatu owns the hair braiding
Mm-hmm.
here in Utica. She gives us a thumb up. And Angela Carr says, hey. And Goddess
Okay.
Masterpiece is letting everybody know, hit the like button. Hit the like button, share. All right, ladies. So that's pretty much all I have as far as questions. I guess now this is the opportunity for us to pure flow. Is there anything else that's on our mind that we like to talk about? We can talk for a few more moments, and then you ladies let me know.
I'm surprised because I could have sworn there was more questions.
Yeah, I have
I
like
felt like
10
there was.
here.
Yeah, I felt like there was more questions.
Well, you know what it is that when I'm reading the questions now, I felt like the question was actually answered, and the other question,
Oh,
like,
you
so
should.
here are some of the questions that I have. Right, what are some significant challenges you encountered when blended families? We talked about that. How have you managed differences in parenting approaches with your partner? What strategies have you used to help children adapt to changes in family dynamics? Have you faced any specific concerns or obstacles related to co-parenting with a former partner? How do you ensure effective communication and mutual respect among family members? We didn't talk about that one.
I
Okay.
think, you know what I think you know what I think has been forgotten? This new thing that's happened, because it happened to me, was the DNA things that are going on. Because back in January last year, I don't know if I told you guys, but I took a DNA test and found out my father who raised me was not my father. So my mother gave me up to a guy who was not even my father, and she knew it. My father died never knowing it. So I take this DNA test, and I don't want to take up all of it, but this is just talking about
This
blending.
This is good.
That I took a DNA test, and suddenly cousins were coming up that weren't my cousins. I'm supposed to be Polish, and I'm coming up 50% Italian. Things are not looking right. So, it's not working. So I ended up finding out, longest story short, is that I had 4 siblings and a father who are all alive who live in the Carolinas.
Wow.
Now, here this woman leaves me with the father who struggles to raise me. We went to all different schools. And I had a family that actually had like this life with money and nice house and all of this stuff. So when I needed to contact them and tell them, "Hi, I'm Heather, your sister," it was like, I'm just going to be 100% me. I'm going to dive into this, and I'm going to just be like, and I won't go through all the details, but I'm very close with my 4 siblings. It's as if like the one thing I can recommend for everybody when you're blending is just be 100% you and communicate. When it was as if we've known each other our entire lives. So all this stuff happens. I went through this life living with all these people I was never related to. And all of a sudden, but that's a thing, like blending with DNA family, that's hard because you've lost all these years of, siblings and a father and everything. So that's definitely something that people need to open up and talk about more. Sorry, I just took over all that, didn't I?
I love it. I love it. Thank you so much for sharing, Heather. That is such a, your story. Somebody else got that story.
Yeah.
And you may have needs to say this so somebody else can hear it. But not only that, your experience has made you who you are.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like your passion came out of the struggle, right?
Yeah.
Right. So obviously, you had another job to do, right?
Isn't it
And you
crazy?
needed to have that life in order for you to be able to do this job that you're doing.
I know people say, what would you do? I looked at the life, I go, I would never trade it though. Right. Even though it was so hard and it was so different. And I don't want people to feel bad for me because I'm happy who I am and what I've gotten out of life. But and I wouldn't be in the family I have and the friends and like you said, do what I'm doing. But yeah, it's pretty wild right now.
Yeah.
So I feel like I'm reinventing myself all over, and I'm like, this makes sense. Because I'll tell you, kids know. They know when your parents aren't your parents. I knew my dad was my dad, even though he was the greatest man to me. I always knew I didn't fit where I was.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's weird. Yeah. That's right. I took flow over, guys.
No,
great.
Because like Sister Tioka said, someone needs to hear that. That's going to inspire me to tell my story, right? Like I have a similar story, not knowing who my biological dad is. I thought I was half Guyanese all my life. Come to find out I was half Nigerian. So
I'm making pierogies and eating sauerkraut, and I could have been eating raviolis for my whole life.
It's true when you really identify, and you're right. You really do know that you don't belong in that family. Something is just not quite. It's so powerful how the blood works. It's so powerful how your lineage works, how our ancestors work through us, and we don't know that there's something instinctively inside of us letting us know that there's something more than what meets the eye. I just used to stare at the mirror, looking in my eyes for hours, trying to identify with what wasn't being explained. So it's really like that. So with my dad, who's Nigerian and Saudi Arabian, he doesn't have any other children. I just had to meet like aunts and uncles, and it was a little bit different how that family dynamic works because they are considered to be a royal family. So a lot was about the bloodline. When the DNA test was taken, found out that I had the same blood type as my dad. That changed a lot of the dynamic, because when you are from a royal bloodline, you have to have that bloodline in order to have an inheritance, or and to be any to have a right or a say. So once that was completed, everything changed. I was able to meet other family members, and I traveled to Nigeria back in 2010. That was a phenomenal event. So it's weird, and I also wonder too. I wonder how many people was told that someone is their parent, and then they never got the truth out. Maybe that was a secret that took into their grave. I believe that's a lot of the issue of a lot of my peers who are disturbed or are struggling deeply within themselves, trying to find themselves. When we speak so freely and say, love yourself, a lot of my peers don't know who they are. They don't know who their root is. So you tell them to love someone that they're not aware of. So I guess they have to, find out who they are or why they are by, facing themselves. And that's a courageous thing to do.
Wow.
Just some food for thought.
Yeah, that's deep. Oh, that's beautiful, beautiful. So we just got to share stories because nobody knew really about that story about me, on the phone with my brother. And he's like, my sister dead. Like, who would have thought, right? Crazy. That's so. Yeah. And I do know people who was actually told that this is not your dad, right? Years later, and they will not accept it. For me, I would be like, really? So who are you? And you're like, I want to know.
I want to know.
I'm so trying to know myself, right? Why am I the way? Like I said earlier, part is DNA, right? Part is environmental, but they need to be balanced somehow. Like I want to know, why am I so into music? Like why, why is like, why can I dance to every single genre? Like I can do the waltz, y'all. Like why can I do that? Like who? Why when I watch something one time, it's like boom, I got it.
Yeah.
Right? No. Who was in my ancestry, right?
Yeah. No, when I found out that my family was all in politics, I'm like, oh my God. Like, are you kidding? Like finally in my 40s, I'm like, I know who I am. I'm so grounded now. It's unbelievable. Like
that's beautiful.
Now I'm just like, okay, my family served in politics and they were advocates. And I'm just like, this is all like, I know where I'm now. I get it. And you're just
yes, that's
so good. I'm giving myself goosebumps.
It's important. It's important. It matters.
Wow.
We're gonna do a T-shirt that says family history matters or roots matters. I don't know.
It does.
Because that's important too. Like we need to know.
Yeah.
And that's another thing too. You didn't touch on that part about blended families. It's like
let's talk about it.
How do you preserve, right, the information, even if the father was a deadbeat, or the mother, whatever, either way. Sometimes because there's so much pain with it, we kind of like go sit down, I'll call him, your father not here, whatever way that we deal with it. But how do we see things in our children and be bold enough to and courageous and caring and loving enough to separate ourselves and separate what we feel about the individual that broke something in us? And I'm speaking generally, like, how do we sit down and say, wow, you're smart, just like your father. You're intelligent. We'll say, I've witnessed people, you look just like your father. And you don't know if that's positive or negative because, you're not with the father anymore. So, right? But you're really into reading books. Your dad used to read a lot of books like that. Mm-hmm. I'm so glad that you in here. You got that because like Sarah said, like once it's okay. You'll gravitate to it. Like, wow, I'm connected to because it's a connection. It's a connection. So I just wanted to put that out there.
Yeah. I think that's a challenging one when the child starts to have the same attributes of the father. in my case, I think all my children walk like their fathers and their demeanor. And then sometimes when I get upset, I'm glaring at them like, okay, that must be a part of their father, so I try not to say it, but I do find myself saying sometimes that, I remember that part of your father, that characteristic right there. It reminds me. And then they're like, is it good or bad? And I'm like, it's all good. You're here, so
Right.
you're here. So that's a product of our relation being good. No matter what happened or the fact that we're not together, you were made out of love, even if the love was one-sided. I know that love.
Oh man, teach on that. That's deep.
I
Yes.
know that love was present because I was there. It's really just
Yes. Right. So then they don't feel like, because blended family means that something broken. So now it's broken family, right? So how do we put the pieces back together? And you cannot put the pieces back together just by introducing someone into the mix. You gotta, make sure that you're well-rounded and helping that person to see the positive qualities. And I would say, like, when we met and you over there looking like your dad, it's like you looking like, you're acting, you're looking, and why do we settle on a negative? We should flip it and, balance it, or just don't say nothing at all, right?
Or just don't say nothing at all.
Yes. So I just wanted to introduce that part because I think there's value in that as well, because I know that we're frustrated. Before you get to the blended stage, you're broken, right? Something has broken in you. I don't care how much confidence you have in yourself, how much therapy you had. There was a break. There was a break in a relationship. And a relationship that you had expectation that will work, and you have children outside of that. And even if you went past and you got over the so-called love that you have for this individual at one point, you have to look at that reminder every day that this is someone that at one point I was involved with, and this is the product of it. And this product is so beautiful. Like, look how God just deposited this product here. Gave me, I honestly, true, and I don't know what y'all religious persuasion and stuff like that, but I honestly and truly, truly, truly believe that the woman is so magnificent. We get to literally take worthless water, right? Nurture it within our body. And it's only between us and the creator. Once that's deposited, he can't call it back. He can't call it back and be like, no. Come out of her. I don't want her there. I don't want, right? He can't do that. That is between our body and the creator. What a wonderful time. We are literally co-creators with the creator.
Yes.
So regardless of the circumstances, we are co-creators with the creator. Value. Why?
You make me cry today.
Yeah.
I'm all emotional up in here. Emotional.
It's the truth. That's how I feel. I felt like that.
Yes, no matter the circumstance.
Yes.
That's right. And when that child come forth, they're on loan to us, but they belong to the creator. And then we have a wonderful job to help to develop them into what we will hope that God would want them to be.
That's right.
Amen to that.
Yes.
Sorry to get all spiritual on y'all, but I'm telling you, boy, women matter, right?
Women matter. We matter.
Wombs matter.
Yes. Because I'm telling you, my children, I held them down. Now they hold me up. The things that they say, the messages that they say, they now are about to be 22, 20, and almost 16. And man, I tell you, the things that they tell me, I know God is real. And it was just only God who placed them in my life and my path to bring me where I am, because they're the most honest people. I trust their judgment. And I know that they're a product of me. What I poured into them, the love that I exclusively poured into them my way. I created my own family, and here are the results. When they say you reap what you sow, I am so happy about them. that they're older now, that they're able to articulate, they're able to see for themselves and the things that they say. And when my son got a job, how he took me grocery shopping, oh my goodness, it was just a feeling that I couldn't. With his first check, he just had to have me at the supermarket, and I let him do it. And then I felt so weird. I didn't need anything, but I still got stuff. It was beautiful. So yeah, if we stick with our children, they'll turn and stick with us. If they'll love right, they'll love on you right. It's just natural law. Sarah, you wanted to say anything, add anything?
I have to hop off to go to my next thing, but I think for me, it's like I don't. The next relationship that I get in is going to be very different, because since ending my 2-year relationship with the blended family and having to unstitch that and realizing, and then going through like my spiritual awakening and like seeing so like my wounds and whatnot, and how I was showing up, like I have increased my standards. Like I will be treated, like I will not allow myself to be treated like the way that I did and stuff. But I don't think I had good examples of relationships. And I think there's a relationship with yourself, and make sure you truly know who yourself is, like who you are, and then how you want to be loved, how you want to be communicated with. There's just a lot that goes into a relationship, not just somebody that you're attracted to and like how do your schedules align, right? And like you have something in common. So there's a lot that I want to, before I would get into my next or entertain a relationship with somebody, would making sure that like I'm doing enough work on myself to be like super clear. And if something is not working out in my favor and aligned with me, it's boy bye. And being okay with throwing that fish back in the sea, right? When I had a scarcity mindset where it's like, oh, I don't think there's going to be that many, men that are going to like me, who I like them back. So if I did get one, I just wanted to like, grab them and like never let go. Right? Now I have to be like, okay, you're cute, but you don't meet all my high standards. Throw that fish back in the sea, and I'll just read my book here on the beach waiting for another fish, because like he's gonna come. There's plenty more fish, so that abundance mindset. And so that's yeah. So being honest with yourself of like, wow, I thought I did well, but no, all of that was acting from wounds. And if I heal those wounds, I've got to do something different and take that responsibility like on myself. So I do have to dash in order to go, but thank you so much, Sparkle and Tioka and Heather. It was great to see you.
Bye, Sarah.
Very good. Wow. Okay.
Oh.
I just wanted to mention to the listening audience that 1 week from today, the Evolving Men will be here broadcasting live at 7 p.m. That some people that we might know, Sister Tioka, they're going to be launching their, I guess, their mirror or their spinoff of SisStar Cypher. The men, they wanted a piece of the pie. They wanted to come in and say what they had to say.
Oh,
They realized that we were popping. Okay, let me stop.
I can't wait to watch this.
I want everybody to stay tuned into the Evolving Man, which is me, backwards or frontwards, ME, Evolving Man. So that would be the mirror of me. So just about the stories of men, like how we're talking about real life issues and exposing them and, diving deep into them. They'll be doing the same thing. Possibly topics that we cover, they might be coming out with the men's perspective. So stay tuned in for that. That's Sunday, the 21st of April at 7 p.m. And that's all I have for you ladies. Do you have any other closing words, thoughts? And
yeah, I just want to thank you for keeping this podcast going, and the inspiration. It's just being that vessel. Ideas come from the creator. We get ideas all the time, but whether we move out on them or not, it really depends on our will and our desire and our, hopes, dreams, aspiration, all that good stuff. But I love the fact that you were able to take it and say, this is going to be helpful for me and others, and this is a passion that I want to have these conversations with these women, and SisStars, you know, and have my sisters, me, you know, my sisters and me, you know. Yeah, so I love it. So kudos to you, Sparkle. Please continue to shine. Do not allow no one to dim your light. No one can dim your light. Don't allow nobody to eclipse your light. Right? Can't nobody dim the light. So praise be to Allah. Thank you for having me.
Praise be to Allah, I guess. Oh, you're welcome. You're over here shining bright like a diamond. Look at this. We got twin smile. Look all triplet smile. Ain't nothing but smile.
Yeah, my face hurt. All this smiling.
Okay, everyone. I guess Heather, you got
everything she said. She had to go first, and she said it so beautifully. I'm like, well, whatever she just said, pretty much before. Keep shining.
It's like ditto. I agree with her.
Muhammad, ladies and gentlemen. She has. I just want to tell you, thank you as well. Behind the scenes, when I'm panicking, she don't know I'm panicking. I'm running to her. She's like, "Girl, cut it out. I got you. This is good. We got this. Let's go." Every topic I give to her, she's just like, "Yes, that's it." So thank you, Sister Tioka, for being that wall to hold me up when I'm feeling like whatever that feeling is. So I wanted to tell you.
So let's share so people can get some information from what we shared today. I think there was definitely some value in this conversation.
For sure.
All right, ladies. So thank you, listeners, for listening. And I'm going to play the outro because that's what I keep forgetting to play. And then we'll see you 2 Sundays from now. This is Reality Speaks TV. We're real people with real talk in real time. Thank you.
Bye.
Melon the queen, I love her complexion. I give her my love and affection. I look in the eyes, she feel the connection. Wishes with me, she got my protection. I take the lead, she follow my direction. She's mine, she's a prize possession. I'm only in competition with that man in reflection. She liking my songs, I'm on her plays as extra. She said Jake her favorite, she liking my smell, she in love with the fragrance. She's a beast, but she like how I tame, she acts how I move.